Okay, welcome back. SHW Offroad daily video on vehicle-based adventure travel. Today I've got a good one for you. This is all about nested kitchen setups. Specifically, I think we're going to filter or kind of zoom in on SUVs, SUV drawer systems and storage solutions. So let's dive right in. Obviously, like all things, rules are made to be broken. There are exceptions to rules, but I'm going to speak for the majority today, I think. And we're going to zoom in on nested kitchen setups and why I and we here at SHW Offroad think they're not the best solution for most people. So let's dive right in. To give you an idea of what I am talking about, we can just jump into Google. We could probably, yeah, here we go. Overland drawer system kitchen, go to images. Yeah, the first two rows of these results are kind of what I'm talking about. If you look at some of these setups, the idea here is that you have a dedicated compartment for each piece of your kitchen, if you will, that is quickly deployed, which is great. Being able to pull out a couple slides and have a full kitchen at your fingertips in less than a minute is really powerful. The trade-off here, it's a huge trade-off, it's a big problem, is how much space you waste, how much weight you add, and how much flexibility you give up with a system like this. Weight first, it's one of our biggest concerns at SHW Offroad. It's why we put so much engineering into our drawer systems. Almost all our SUV products are made out of plywood, but we go through some serious lengths to make them as light as possible, lighter than most metal and aluminum drawer systems. Our ultralight series, there's nothing even close to as light as that system is. So we're really concerned about weight, and you should be too. I'm going to have a video dedicated about it, or to it, in depth in the future, all about payload and why it matters. But weight is a big issue. For every tier that you have in your system, if we go back to our Google results and we look at this first picture, you've got a tier for, it looks like some utensils, it's got a drop down sink, and then it's got a dedicated compartment for the stove. You have a pair of slides, you've got a ton of plywood, and a ton of space carved out just to accommodate this stove. And a pair of slides, to give you an idea, usually waste about 1.5 inches, the two together. You multiply that by the length, usually the full length of the drawer, it can be anywhere up to 36 inches, and you waste a ton of space. That's only in the slides. You still got to account for the material on each side that you're going through, and just the wasted space that you have to build in for tolerance for the grill or whatever cooking appliance you're using in the truck, to clear. So tons and tons of wasted space when you do a nested setup like this, and a ton of added weight. Weight's a big issue. It's a big concern. Not only is it really hard on your vehicle, but it's just hard on your system. The more weight you leverage and the further out you leverage that weight from your drawer system, the quicker it'll fail. That's just simple physics. But another thing you should be really concerned about, right? So we've got weight, we've got tons of wasted space, but flexibility is a big one too. A lot of people will see a nested system like what we're talking about. It looks really cool, it looks super functional, but they get out in the field and they feel limited by what they can do or how they can cook or where they can cook their meals. There's a lot of power in being able to decide where you cook. Whether you're in bear country, whether you're cooking a specific meal that you just don't want around your gear, right? When you tether your kitchen to where your gear is, you're asking for a lot of trouble as far as messes and fire hazards and odors and stuff like that. So it's important to be flexible in where you can make your meals and prep them. There are tons of alternatives. One of our favorite sayings around the shop is, bring solutions, not problems, right? So there are a ton of alternative solutions to what I think is a problem. It's like I said, it's easy to look at these nested systems and want that for your truck. We did at one point. We used to make a system like this, and then quickly realized in the field that it's just not applicable to most of us. Like I said, there are always exceptions to the rule, but being able to be flexible in where you can cook your meals and uncoupling your kitchen from where your gear is stored is a big advantage. So be flexible. There are tons of solutions out there. I could go in depth about them, but really, there's already some great videos and content around this. Go to one that I can think of off the top of my head. I think it's Venture to Rome. Last year, a couple years ago, did a great video on just cooking in general, the supplies they use. And the cool thing is, Venture to Rome brought in tons of other YouTube profiles or characters to weigh in on this also. I'll put a link to that in this video. Check that out, and you will have just tons of other solutions at your fingertips. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. If you have questions, suggestions, the reason we talked about it is because it's requested all the time. About weekly, I explain why a nested kitchen setup in an SUV, especially compact SUVs or smaller SUVs like a 5th Gen 4Runner, why that isn't a good idea. So call me if you have questions. I'd love to hear your take on it. Leave a comment. Tune in tomorrow. I've got some good stuff coming down the pipeline here. To stay in line with this, we're going to talk about best practices when it comes to vehicle-based cooking. There are tons of videos on this out there. We see daily videos from just people out cooking these gourmet meals out in the wild, and I'm going to maybe pick apart that a little bit, shed some light, or kind of share my opinion on it, and I'd love to hear yours. So tune in tomorrow. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.